Hi, we're going to talk to another designer today. The whole purpose of these segments is to warm you up to the idea that maybe you need a designer in your project. Not every project needs it. Some of them are fine DIY, but there's a point at which we need some professional help. So I'm here with Jack Kiesel. Your Kiesel design, Kiesel.
Yep, Kiesel Design. That's
Okay,
it.
you design Kiesels. So if you need any Kiesels, he's the guy to call.
Exactly.
I've known you for years and years, but I don't know that I've ever gotten back into your origin story. So what was your first brush with plants? What opened the door to what you're doing now?
I think I grew up as a hippie child in Cambria, and I was introduced to kind of gardening by this one guy. He was quite the character. Kind of got me into that, and then also I developed a real appreciation for the natural beauty of Cambria with the pine trees, the ocean.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time in the creeks when I was a little kid, and through that I really started paying attention to plants and animals and whatnot. And that then I also did art. Art was also a big part of my growing up. I was surrounded by a lot of artists too.
Yeah, Cambria.
And right, and so when I was grounded, I just draw all the time.
Were you grounded
yeah,
often?
when I was grounded, yeah, probably a little more than some kids, less than others, I guess.
Why am I not surprised?
But taking that interest in art and science, I kind of was looking around, and landscape architecture seemed to be a really good fit for that.
So when you were 6 years old, you became a landscape architect?
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
So Jack, I got your plan here. We're going to put it up on the screen. I just want to talk a little bit about the different rooms, the spaces, the activity areas. So up here, we're right along the back of the house. Right here, we've got what kind of uses?
Well, this patio here, we created some wood stoops, as they are.
Stoops, I love that.
Yeah, to come out, and because there's quite a bit of grade difference here, so that's taken up by these wood steps.
Okay, two
very
steps
generous.
down.
And then you come down here in this terrace, and then this is a combination kind of dining and entertaining, which we have here, obviously the table
And this
and the fireplace. So this is
Okay.
like your kind of evening kind of hangout spot.
social
Also, you get
activities.
some great views, obviously, of the mountains and everything here. Kind of view dining, and just basic lounge terrace.
Got it. And then over here, this looks like this extra building here.
Yeah, that's an office. That's in home office at this point.
And it's got a nice little space out around
Correct.
it and a little deck there. So then we come down the steps, and this is just a planted slope, and we come to no guilt trip here. You got a lawn.
Correct. We have a lawn.
People don't go to hell just for having a lawn, right? But
No.
what goes along with?
Well, what goes along with that lawn? Well, if you can justify the lawn, we look at it as being okay, because in this situation we have a very active family with teenage kids, and they have a dog, and it's right next to the pool, and they're down here pretty much every day. So they're playing catch, they're running the dog. We had more of a drought-tolerant California native lawn, and just the amount of use they were getting out of it was a little more than we had anticipated. So then we had to go with a more traditional lawn that could really kind of take that
Got it.
abuse. So
And then we've got a nice big pool here. And that's great. And then you've got also some areas down in here for hanging out near the pool. Start with the things you're going to use, things that are going to enhance your life. The same way if you love cooking, you put a little extra money into your kitchen, that it's worth the extra expense in a landscape to be able to use it functionally and have it be an expansion of your lifestyle. And it sounds like that's what you did with the pool.
correct.
I'm looking at this little pattern down here. It looks like rock or boulders or that sort of thing. That's doing what?
Yeah, so this is a drainage feature. So it's basically a bioswale that runs along the edge here. As every designer, one of the first things you look at is the drainage, and you want to make sure that you're responsible as much as possible for all the on-site drainage here, literally on-site. So that's what this is doing. It's allowing that water to infiltrate over time and to reduce any overflows to the neighbors. We want to be good neighbors.
Excellent. Got the big picture. Well, it's a complicated set of plans, more than I ever do. I'm pretty sure you don't just stay up 24 hours and produce this yourself. So let's talk a little bit about how you get from what we talked about, client interview, to really being able to create the details and who's part of that whole process. So why don't we start over here? Love this bench. Simple, but the dark wood and all that. What kind of materials are here and how did you get to them?
Yeah, well, this is a Ipe hardwood, and so it has a really good rot resistance, very dense wood. More rot resistant even than redwood, for example. And so, yeah, that's what it's a really great bench. They love it. It's a custom feature. Stacy Isaac, who I work with and collaborate with on this project, Stacy Isaac Design, she was a huge part of this whole garden. Couldn't have happened without her, and she was the one who basically designed this.
So material selection, and then being able to explain to the person who's going to hold the hammer how you put all this stuff together. That all falls to people like Stacy and...
Yeah, well, we do the detailed drawings, figure out how it's going to get fabricated, then we make sure we bring in the right people to do the work.
Right. Love the fireplace. It's just so simple. Tell me a little bit more about it. What are we looking at in here? How we get them built?
Yeah, so this is a gas custom fireplace with a board form exterior.
So that means they're
Facing,
just laying up wood boards and pouring inside it.
And we look at this landscape as kind of a California Mediterranean contemporary type of style. And with that style, you often see these kind of board form textures brought into the landscape. It's also works well. They used to use it traditionally as well. The board form concrete.
I love this planting design. It's a mix of plants I don't know that I would have come up with, and Stacy's hand shows here. But this mix of some California natives. We've got looks like deergrass and manzanitas, and then just this wonderful mix of things. What was here before this planting showed up?
Well, what was here before is they had some olive trees that were here. Actually, one of those trees, I think we did relocate it right there. And so what the problem with those trees too was, if you look at the existing photos, it was really blocking the views and just not much was growing under it. So in order to open the yard, the landscape up to the views, and so people can see, hey, there's something over here you might want to, visit.
Right.
So we took those trees out and re-terraced this, put in all new steps. This used to be a brick patio, which was very uneven in surface.
Brick will
much
do that
smaller,
after time.
Than is now. There's also a pergola that they had over here that was very low, so you really felt like you're almost going to hit your head on the thing. And so that was taken out, and that really helped. That's why the umbrellas, maybe at a future point in time, they might reintroduce another pergola, but that remains to be seen.
And the plants, looks like everything is super low water use. And a very, as structured as the patio is, everything's on these grids. This is just got a very loose kind of wild feel. And I think you talked about this being more formal and the wildness that we have down here.
Correct. Yeah, we wanted to kind of create, soft feeling of softness and kind of soften the edges,
like the grasses.
As it were. And I think the chondropedilum and then the grasses help do that. Also introducing some plants in between the joints here and there.
Right.
Also kind of transitions what we talked about earlier between that kind of really hard surface to the more soft areas. So that really helps. And then combination of the blue colored senecio help to pop the succulents. And then the gravels are also nice because they're low maintenance. You can also walk on it if you need to.
Yeah. What I'm seeing here, and this is something that I think is key for professionals, is there's echoes of similar types of plants. We've got agave and aloe, which have the same sort of structure. We're using silvers and grayish colors together, and there's just a very harmonious feel in here, and yet there's a lot of diversity to it. And hats off to the final planting design. Last thing I want to talk about is the bioswale and the gravel area that you have down here that carries all the drainage water and lets it sink in. So why don't we head over that way. So Jack, wrapping up, this is actually a nice place to wrap up this segment, because when everything's all done, all the water, all the runoff, everything ends up here. This is kind of like the last paragraph in the story here. So what are we looking at here, and why do we have something like this? It's just beautiful. I just love the wildness of it. But what do you call something like this, these areas of gravel, kind of like a stream bed?
Well, it's basically, we call this like a bioswale, or infiltration swale is another term that is often used. And per the city, we're kind of required, especially any kind of larger redevelopments or new development, to be responsible for all the on-site stormwater, and that's what this is doing. It's taking all the water from the upper terraces, moving it through here, and then again infiltrating on site as much as possible.
So in principle, we're not only keeping this owner's water from becoming a nuisance, but we're also recharging groundwater here. And I guess in some cases, though not here, we're keeping it from going to the street, going down the gutters, going out into the creeks.
Yeah, and then we always try to introduce these as not just a utility type feature, but it's actually something that can be very beautiful at the same time. So
well, it is.
It's doing a number of things here. So we have the gravel right in the lower areas, so you're keeping that clear so the water can go right in. And then with plants like these carex and whatnot, and then the chondropellum that can handle intermittent inundation. And so that's why you see these. And then as you get further out, you get more drier plants. And we're putting some stuff in here with the grasses, so you get some color. Every once in a while, you'll have a aloe or whatnot in there, or the leucadendrons, and it really kind of gives a real lot of body to the feature.
Yeah, it's like you've got what I call muscle plants, things that just
Yes.
have a real presence, and then in between is all the finery. So it's a wonderful contrast of similar forms, but doing them in all different textures and foliage size and things like that.
Yeah, this is very popular, especially with contemporary, to do this kind of mix of grasses and succulents and kind of colorful shrubs like this. And the beautiful thing about these leucadendrons, I know you like to use these, Billy, is that they do give you all year round color. And that's another part we want to do with this garden, is to make interest all year round.
Yeah, well, that's key. Flowers are fleeting.
Yes.
And structure and foliage color and contrast like this are there all around. I want to thank you for the time. It's a great project. I wish I could say I'd be stealing some ideas from you, but I don't work at this scale. So thanks for spending your time, and thanks to Stacy for all the work that she put in on this project. And when in need, look for a professional designer. Bring them into your project.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you.